That to me is one of the secret sauces to get results. If you care about the person, then you're going to ask better questions. You're going to get better answers.
But I think discipline is where it's at. Like, to me, if I were to just sprinkle that magic sauce into anybody out there, especially for sales.
If you want to create an opportunity for a win-win and have the seller negotiate against themselves, ask better questions. The reality is, because I walked away from it, I walked away from so much of the money.
I used to have like the good angel and the bad angel, right? You know, the stay in bed or, you know, let's get out there and kick ass. But now the good angel is David Goggins. All right, guys and gals, welcome to the Leads to Deals podcast, where we talk about everything from leads to deals, and everything that we're going to talk about leads to deals. You're here because you're obsessed with leveling up and dominating sales, mastering persuasion, and skyrocketing your financial success. We got one special. This one's a special one for the ladies today because they call him the most handsome man in real estate. Former NFL athlete turned corporate drone, and then right into being a wildly successful real estate entrepreneur, professional, and coach. Dean Rogers. He's the founder of the Wholesaling Playbook and one of the most impactful communities out there. Not only does he do his own deals, but he has his own portfolio. Dean Rogers, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Dude, thanks for having me. What an intro.
Yeah, man. Dude, I appreciate you taking the time. I'm curious right out of the gates, what's it easier to coach? Football, real estate?
Man, wow, that's a really good question. You know what? Honestly, the fundamentals are the same. You know, for somebody who wants it and is driven and is motivated, and you don't have to babysit, those people are so fun to just pour into, right? Because they're getting after it. You're not having to remind them that they need to do the work. They're willing and able and hungry to do the work. And when you see those results come through, right? If you're in football and they make the big catch, score the touchdown. If you know, it's in real estate and they close the big deal, $75,000 deal, 6-figure deal, it's so fulfilling, dude. It's so much fun to coach. And the coolest thing about coaching people is you actually end up learn so much more as a teacher than a student. So it's my honor to be able to do that and impact others.
You know, one of the things that I have a nice size little sales office here, but we'll have these guys and gals that we're helping out and helping in the closing, etc. But sometimes the kiss of death is like they get a deal too easily, or they get too big of a deal. And I know that's crazy because it's like, sign up for my coaching service. And then you're like, oh, I got this guy within 3 days, he got a deal for $100K. But what ends up happening is it almost plants this false sense of security and they come off of the gas pedal. I also hear those stories about professional athletes, like they busted their butt and they finally got recruited into college and whatever. But all of a sudden they hit the bar and they take their foot off of the gas. Do you see that parallel as well, both when you were in the NFL and then also people here that kind of hit it and then forget it? What got them there?
For sure, dude. I came from humble beginnings. I had quite the journey to make it to the NFL. It was definitely a path. I was the salmon swimming upstream. You know, it was not given to me. I was gifted. I was talented. I would get results, but I wasn't the first pick, you know, for everything along the journey. And it's no different in real estate. I think that sometimes people get complacent. Me and my partner, my business partner, call it being a fat cat, right? When you're the fat cat, when you're complacent, when you're not hungry out there looking for the kill, that's when you fall behind, right? And I have seen so many athletes along my journey that were bigger, stronger, more talented, more skilled, more athletic, could jump higher, run everything. More skilled than me, but I just stayed consistent. I put in the work, I showed up, and I was a good player. I'm a player, right? If you put me on the stat sheet, okay, I might be decent or average, but put me in the game, I'm going to make plays.
So I find a lot of parallels to any high level performance, no matter what the industry or profession, etc. but I think discipline is where it's at. Like to me, if I were to
Love that
just
word. Love it.
sprinkle that magic sauce into anybody out there, especially for sales, because this is my profession, right? Like I want to be at the highest levels of the art of communication. And it's not just like, hey, believe in yourself and blah, blah, but it's really the discipline to do the right things. Real quick, I'll give you an example, Dean. I was giving a speech this weekend and I talked about how I heard a long, long time ago, closers are like water. They'll always follow the path of least resistance. So you have to train yourself to actually go the resistance route. That's the only way you'll get better. So I'm curious how you feel about that discipline between sales professional and also athlete.
I think that's key right there. Once we've been in a position, we've closed some deals, we start to think that we know what we're doing. It's really easy to go off the script, to kind of just wing it because you know what you're doing, right? But no different with football, right? We would watch and study game film to nauseum. We would watch it every day for hours every single day. And we would look at our footwork, right? Just the very first step that we took was the first step that we took the right angle, the right direction, the right length, or should have been 6 inches shorter or 45 degrees instead of 30. That's the level of precision that we would focus on every single day. And because I took attention to that, that allowed me to put myself in the best position, right? It's about putting yourself in the best position to be successful. If you're in sales and you're not following your script every single time, you're not putting yourself in the best position to get the best deal. You might get lucky. You might say the right thing or ask the right question, but there's a good chance that you're going to fall short because your training isn't disciplined enough to stay consistent in what you need to do.
Somewhere Jordan Belfort from Wolf of Wall Street, his hairs are going to stand up and he's going to be like, huh? Because the way that you talked about how it was just that first step, like, hey, we're watching the plays, but the thing that we look at the beginning is that very beginning. It's the intro. And that's what we train here so much. It's like, hey, listen, being able to create with tonality, whether it's your leads manager, with the way that you're picking up that phone and saying that first sentence, it's literally the difference between getting off the line the right way to be able to deliver the play, which is really, there's so many parallels between a proper sales call and making it down the field. You're not just going to get right out of the gates from hello to contract. You're literally moving it down a couple of yards at a time and earning the trust and then moving it down a couple of yards at the time. So, dude, I am 100% zoned in with you about how that footwork, that first little step, was the difference between being able to run successfully or not.
No doubt. Love it.
Dude, I love it. All right. So you're a meathead undercover. I think you're like a really smart. I think you're not a meathead who somehow ended up in the NFL, but you guys get the analogy of being like the meatheads, like, oh, the fucking jocks, right?
Yes.
So were you always like good speaking, or did you pick that up after the NFL and refine it? Talk to me.
Yeah. So I've always been a super analytical, detailed focused guy. And so when it came to me and my career, in high school, I played running back. I wanted the ball in my hands. I wanted to put the team on my back. I wanted to score touchdowns. Did great at that. In college, they moved me to tight end. And I was great at it because a tight end is really the second smartest person on the field besides the quarterback. Quarterback has to know everything. They have to know the routes that everybody's running. They have to know the coverage that they're about to throw it into. They have to know that how the offensive line is set up and if the run plays the right way or they need to check out of it, what the pass protection coverage is, what the run blocking is. They need to know what every single person is doing on the field. And the tight end is almost no different. They're doing everything except making the throw. They need to know all the different positions on the field because you might be moved out. You need to know the pass protection, the run blocking, the pass coverage, all of that. So for me, that's where I was able to excel and be able to be utilized in many different positions. I'd be moved out to receiver, I'd be goal line running back, I'd be all these different positions. In the NFL, they moved me from tight end to fullback. That's when I truly embraced the meathead of football, the NFL, because all you do is just take your massive body and run it into another massive body at full speed, like battering rams, and crush your brains in. So for me, that was the wake up call that the NFL was great. Norv Turner was telling me I was going to have a long career, but if I kept beating my head in every single day at that position, the most brutal position on the field, I was going to die. Right. So I that's what ended up having me walk away from my childhood dream. But getting out of that, right, Scott, starting from ground zero, starting from scratch, going into the real world where you have to have skills beyond physical, right? You have to add value to other people. And the marketplace will tell you whether you have the skills or not. I could not communicate well to start. All of my friends could tell you, and anybody that would have conversations with would tell you I was a leader and would speak with my actions, right? I would speak with my play on the field. So I didn't really have to communicate too much. A little bit, right? I was a captain and I would demonstrate leadership, but it was mostly through my actions. When it came to real estate, which was really the vehicle I saw to get me back to that dream life that the NFL presented, right? If I wanted to be a multimillionaire, if I wanted to have freedom in my life, I real estate was my new vehicle. So when I got started and I realized that I didn't know how to communicate well, that's where my focus went. First and foremost was communication, and it was not easy. It was not easy at first. I having just casual conversation, building rapport. Those were areas that I struggled, but I knew the importance of it, and so I focused on it. So that was really how I learned how to communicate. I definitely was not someone who would get up and speak on stage and be comfortable really with that. Wasn't great at networking, wasn't great at having conversations with strangers about buying their house, but it was a necessity to be successful.
So it sounds like to me repetition, right?
Repetition, man. That's it.
Yep. Just
That's it.
going out
Just like
there
me getting in
over
the
and over.
gym, working out every day. Just like me going out on the field, doing my speed and agility drills, doing my conditioning. Just like in practice, how we would run the same play over and over and over and over again to where it was just ingrained with us. So in the game, it felt easy. So that was no different. When I got started, Scott, I would print out the scripts. I would repeat it to myself over and over again. I would wake up in the middle of the night obsessed about getting better each and every day so I could get results.
Brother, I what I love is that going through at the level that you were, and I know that this was disciplined into you a long time ago, but you'll have people where you give them the play, whether it be the script or the processes, like follow this framework. And then on one call, they'll have something, let's say, go bad. And then they'll adjust the play. And then they'll adjust the play. And before you know it, they're literally running in the opposite direction of where their goal is. And so that's what I love about guys like you, are like, yes, many times you're not going to be successful. You're going to miss it. Somebody's going to catch you. Somebody's going to block you. You're going to step out about whatever it may be, but you don't deviate from the play. And so that rigidness where you didn't get into it and be like, yeah, this isn't working. So this flip to Sean Terry. No, I don't think Sean's got it right. Let me just do it my way. You literally took Sean Terry, from what I understand. You joined his stuff. You followed his process, and then you repeated it until you mastered his version, and then you made it your own.
Yes.
I fucking love it. All right. So everybody likes to talk IG like pretty sometimes on podcasts. Like, yeah, man, I'm doing this. Tell me how bad you sucked in the beginning at buying people's houses. Let's get some stories here.
Yeah, so definitely was not skilled, but here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing that was my saving grace and what allowed me to get results. So when I got started and I was living in San Francisco, working my corporate job, realizing that was definitely not going to get me back to the freedom and the dream life I saw was possible. I did some soul searching and was lucky enough to stumble upon real estate. I typed into Google how to get started in real estate and found Sean Terry's Flip to Freedom podcast. Guys, everything you need to know is right on the internet. You listen to Scott. This dude is dropping serious game consistently, regularly. You stay right here. You don't need to go anywhere else, right? Then apply it, take action, get results, keep getting better. So that's what I did. I didn't deviate, didn't look anywhere else. 3 months, I got my first deal. Okay. And it was because I just did exactly what Sean Terry was saying. I followed it to a T. He said, you need to say this. I said that. He said, you need to market and look for sellers here. That's where I looked. And I didn't try to do anything else. Now, my saving grace, Scott, because I did suck at communicating, was uncomfortable, was awkward, was I leaned into my natural self. And that is caring about the other person. That to me is one of the secret sauces to get results. If you care about the person, then you're going to ask better questions. When you ask better questions, you're going to get better answers. When you have those better answers, now you have the puzzle pieces. The problem you're trying to solve, you now have the puzzle pieces because you were curious, you were genuine, you were authentic. And now you have the information. And I'm an analytical person, I'm a
Yep.
problem solver. So now I could start trying to put those pieces together as much as I didn't quite know how to do it well, but I knew enough to then help them solve their problem and get the results I needed.
So, Dean, I'm not sure if you're aware, but I'm talking to you from South America. I live here in Colombia. This is where my office is at. And so there's some cultural references these guys will never get. And also, I'm old. And so these guys don't know who Mary Kay is. They don't know what a pink Cadillac is. They didn't grow up in that era or have any rationale. And I educated them and told them all about it and pulled up some photos so they could see it. But, I think one of the most powerful things I heard a long, long time ago was somebody referencing Mary Kay, whatever her full name was herself, though, where she said, hey, listen, my secret, my trick is I treat everybody like they have a sign around their neck that says, make me feel important. And that right there, what you're talking about, like caring about the other person, it's so easy to care about somebody when you approach it from that, like, and it's authentically. I want to make
Yeah.
you like, dude, I want to hear your story. I want to know more about you. I know Dean, with all due respect, just like me, but Dean's favorite topic is Dean. My favorite topic is Scott. It's easy to make me feel important by talking about my
Yes.
wants and needs. And then also
Yes.
people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So I think you hit right on the head.
Woo! That's a good one. That's a mic drop. So a lesson I learned from my dad early on was that in order to influence and build relationships with people, one of the best ways to do that is to not talk about yourself and tell them how you're so great and why they should like you. It's actually to talk about them, to get them excited about them, to get them to talk about the things that they like, the things that they're passionate about. They'll leave that conversation thinking you're the coolest dude that they met that day, that year, in their entire life because you made them feel so excited to have a conversation with you when it was really about themselves. So that to me is a superpower. If you are trying to build rapport with a seller and they happen to have a dog or cats, or they happen to have a coin collection, or they happen to have fill in the blank with whatever hobby it is, and you talk about that, they're going to open up. They're going to be excited. You're going to see their eyes light up because now they're talking about something they like and they're passionate about. And now you guys can relate about it. And you don't have to be inauthentic about it, right? If you don't like cats, that's okay. That's all right. You don't have to, I wouldn't tell them you don't like cats, but I would ask them about their cats and how they like them, how many cats they have and how long they've had cats, all the different questions you could ask them and show interest in what they care about. To me, that's the secret sauce for sure.
And I think a thing most salespeople struggle with is being able to not have commission breath and to be able to do a takeaway. And then takeaway for people who aren't really sales focused, it's where it's like, hey, this may not be a good fit for you. We may not be able to help you, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason why is they spend the bulk of their conversation, as you were saying, but talking. And so what they end up doing, I find, Dean, is they end up telling and not selling. And so the more you can get the customer to talk, the more that you're able to get from them. And it's just a matter of loading your gun. And so some weak salespeople will load a 6-shooter. Okay, you got a little pistol of hot buttons. But the good guys, they'll have the customer talking. They got a Gatling gun. And it's just filled up with all these little tidbits of the customers, because ultimately at the end, you want to pick and choose what it is that you're going to shoot back at them with benefits from the hot buttons that they learned when you describe your product. And then so, like you said, questions are everything in sales.
Yeah. If you want to create friction in a transaction and trying to close a deal, negotiate against the seller. If you want to create an opportunity for a win-win and have the seller negotiate against themselves, ask better questions. If you just start asking questions, the seller is going to just continue to share and continue to share. And when you position questions the right way, you end up getting them to negotiate against themselves. And it doesn't feel like that, right? You're genuinely curious about which option is the best for them. And if that is the best option for them, what about this other information that would make it so that really the deal needs to be here, right? Instead of the deal being over here, it needs to really be over here. And wouldn't you agree with that? And if you position it the right way and ask better questions, then you're going to get better deals.
Yeah, I agree. I saw in a podcast as I was doing some background research, I saw you say something kind of sensational. And one of them, you said a couple of things. I said, okay, I'm going to bring this up. But one of them was that you're not really a big books guy, but that like I guess you're audibles and going through podcasts. So when you're going into professional sales, and I know you had Sean Terry's, I haven't personally been through it. Is he teaching sales strategies too, or real estate? And then if not, did you not resort to any of the other sales books? Did you not go into to learn maybe power questions, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So for me over the years, I laugh about not being a book guy, and I admit it because I love books. I think the idea of sitting down and reading a book is so romantic. It sounds beautiful. It sounds like exactly what I want to be doing and learning and growing. But I just fall asleep when I'm reading a book, right? I'd rather be in the action. And for me, what that looks like is being around other people that are doing it, that are leveling up or further ahead than me, that have been, in their craft working on it, and us building off of that together. So for me, being in rooms, masterminds, and joining other people's training and coaching programs, like I got to give credit to the different people along the way. Sean Terry, he got me off the ground. He showed me the straight and narrow path that I needed to be focused on, and forever grateful for him for that. People like Carlos Reyes along the way was
Mhm.
just dropping tons of game and sharing a lot of his journey. And we did some of his training. Steve Trang, another guy
Yes.
who's dropped a ton of information to really think about sales differently, right? It's really about the question asking and how you position things. And another thing that I resonate so much with Steve Trang is about expectations. When you're setting great expectations, Scott, it helps that conversation progress forward because you're painting that picture. You're giving the vision to the seller to understand how this deal is going to get done. If you're not expectation setting, if you're not telling them how this is going to go, then they're going to fill in the gaps with their own fears and doubts and uncertainties. And if you don't make the vision clear enough for them, they're going to look somewhere else for that, right? What makes the seller stop in their shoes and say, "This is the guy. Scott's the guy. He's going to solve my problem. I'm not looking anywhere else." It's about setting those great expectations. Okay. Then Tiffany and Josh High, both of them I, there's almost no one else that I've seen so passionate about leveling up their game and continuing to put systems and processes in place. And I took my whole team out to sit down with them and get their training, go through their process. And we implemented and bolted on different strategies and rearranged the way we did things, and instantly saw an increase in how much better our deals were, right? By having a better process and it more well ironed out. And then I've joined, masterminds along the way, Family Mastermind and Collective Genius, and
Yes.
just just to be around high performers and to have hallway conversations and just to pick up on little nuggets are the fine tweaks that you need to make along the way to just keep getting better.
And again, I tying it back into the NFL or just any professional athlete, you always see all these news articles like Tom Brady spent X amount of millions of dollars in a year taking care of his body and all this other stuff. I mean, think about everything that you just said. Every single name that you dropped involved an investment. None of those were free. Everything that you just said, none of those were free. They all that were an investment of money, sizable money, and then time as well too. And so I think that's what a lot of people look up to when they go to guys like you and your community as well too. It's like, hey, I know it's going to be an investment, but you're able to synthesize to them for them all these much larger investments. And you're like, hey, listen, here's all these cool things that I learned for me that made sense to me. And here I'm going to explain it the way I needed it explained to me when you have your following. Plus, here's all these additional things that I learned while going through these processes, and you're able to synthesize them down. So tell me a little bit about why you would start a community, why you would have this wholesaling playbook. Like, why even go down that channel since you're got the REI business over here doing this? Why take time away from doing flips?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So to take a step back, when I started my career, I had just got done leaving the NFL, the dream life. Perception wise, I had figured everything out, made a ton of money, and the reality is, because I walked away from it, I walked away from so much of the money, right? And when you leave early, they don't just give you everything that you signed up for. So I started from scratch and getting in the corporate world, working in San Francisco. I was basically on a negative salary. Money started drying up quickly. And I remember a year and a half into it, I was basically living paycheck to paycheck already. And I'll never forget having to use my wife's $500 Target credit card she just opened to go buy groceries because that's the money I had available. And I felt so low. I felt so embarrassed. My ego was extremely bruised. And I was then in the moment of knowing I needed to do something else. That's when I found real estate. Now, when I started, I found Sean Terry, was so blessed to have found him. However, I didn't join his program. I
No
knew
shit.
that I should have. I didn't join his program, Scott, and it was right there staring me in the face. This is
Yeah.
the guy. He's dropping tons of game. He's got tons of value. Let me join his fill in the blank, 5, 10, $15,000 program. I should have done it. I didn't. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it on my own. I'm not ready to ask for help because my ego is, stuck with being this NFL guy. I wasn't ready to ask for help. And I also told myself I didn't have enough money. Arguably, I didn't have much, but certainly what happened next is a case in point why it's foolish to think you can do it on your own. Can you do it on your own? Can you find success? You can. But Scott, over the next several years, handful of years, I was getting results. And then at the beginning of my second year, I rushed into some flips. I lost $100,000. I got crushed. The next year, I worked for free. Okay. Then I started coming out of that. I got into another deal. It happened to be a deal, shiny object, never done a new construction deal before. This guy who was in our community was really a wolf in sheep's clothing. Okay. And he had a Ponzi scheme going. I bought
Oh,
into the deal, and enough time went by with me finally asking the questions and due diligence I should have asked Scott, because he said everything was perfect, ready to go. The gut feeling finally sunk in. Dude, I just got scammed. I lost $187,000. So,
ooh.
dude, like for almost 5 years, I was getting results. Meanwhile, I'm doing deals. I'm getting results, but just a couple deals knocked all the wind out of my sails and crushed me. So I come out of this and I raise my hand and I say, I need help. I surrender. And actually, I forgot to mention that the first coaching community that I joined was Fortune Builders. Fan Merrill, Paul Asasian, Conrad, the OGs, and being a part of that community really helped uplift me because I met some great, amazing people along that way, Scott, that churned into like little mini masterminds and people that I learned and people who kind of counseled me outside of joining another program and really helped me continue to advance in my career. And then I started the trainings with the Carloses and the Steves and the Tiffany and Josh and the masterminds. So where did that lead to me doing my own coaching? I never thought I would be a coach, never wanted to be a coach. I'm just focused on my business. But in 2020, I had the bright idea after me working all these years, making these mistakes, starting to finally come out of the dark, abyss of the mistakes that I made. Um, I realized, you know what, for me to really grow more, Scott, I needed to actually give to other people. I needed to give value to other people. And it was that abundance mindset that I heard people like Sean Terry and others talk about. I needed to embody that because if they're telling me it works, I need to step into it. So I
Yeah.
started my own meetup, February of 2020, had almost 100 people show up, and it was ripe with excitement and collaboration and everything that I was excited about. The next meetup was scheduled for March 2020. And you know what happened? The scamdemic, I call it, happened, and the whole world shut down, and everybody was in a, completely confused, not sure what to do. For the first time, I was like, what do I do here? I innovated and I went to social media. I said, hey guys, I'm still doing deals. Let's keep pushing forward. We got this, right? The next posts were about, hey guys, I can help you on your deals. I can help you on your deals. If you have a lead, send the lead over. I'll qualify the lead. I'll tell you what I think the deal is, and I'll help you on the deal. Right? That evolved to, guys, send over your lead. I'll get on the phone with the seller. I'll negotiate the deal. I'll go on the appointment. I'll get the pictures. I'll get the deal under contract at the best price. I'll then find a buyer that pays top dollar. I'll handle the whole escrow process. You just sit back and we'll maximize this deal and we'll split it 50-50. Was it a landslide of people that reached out? No, but slowly but surely, one person will reach out, another person will reach out. We close a deal. Guys, look at this deal we just closed. We made 20,000. Here's my wire for 10 grand to this person. Screenshot on Instagram. Check it out. Guys, look at this $40,000 deal we just closed. Look at this wire for 20 grand. Guys, look at this $125,000 deal we just closed with Angel. Look at this wire for $61,500 after we paid cash for keys. That was such a fulfilling process. And over the next 12 months, Scott, we did 7 figures in revenue just from this. Okay. And I actually ended up branding it and calling it something that was really fun and catchy. And it started out with like, hey, I love doing deals with friends, right? Look at this deal I just closed with my friend. Look at this deal I just closed with my friend. It's so much fun making money with friends. I was like, this is kind of like friends with benefits. And I thought, okay. I talked to my team. What do you guys think? Do you guys think this is clever, catchy, a little edgy? Yeah, we think it's great. So I made t-shirts and it was like, hey guys, you're in the friend zone right now, but if you guys bring a deal, we close a deal together, we're friends with benefits, and you get a t-shirt. And sure enough, people wanted that shirt. They wanted to wear that shirt. They wanted to wear the shirt at events. They wanted to text me and say, hey, I'm an extra large. I'm going to get a shirt soon. I'm sending you a deal. And
I love
it became this catchy thing and this really fun thing to where it helped us grow our business. And enough people, Scott, were like, dude, do you coach? Do you mentor? Like, do you help me so much on the deal? I saw you help so-and-so so much on their deals. I was like, no, I don't do that. I don't plan on it. Just bring a deal and we'll work on the deal. And enough people kept asking. And my good friend Stratton Brown was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, look at all the case studies you have. Look at all the people that you've helped. You actually love this. You keep telling me how fulfilling it is. I can see how patient and thoughtful you are about it. Like, you're perfect to do this. You should do it. I thought, Scott, I'm like, does this really align with my goals? And I thought about the Than Merrills from Fortune Builders. I thought about the Sean Terrys. I thought about the Carlos Reyeses, the Tiffany and Josh Highs, the Steve Trangs. I thought about the Pace Morbys. I thought about all the people who had impacted me along my journey. What were they doing? They were impacting tens and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people across the nation. If I wanted to create impact, if I wanted to be a peer, just like when I was in the locker room with Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates, and they were sitting next to me, just like you and I are talking right now, just like you and I, how we've been at events together, just two normal people talking, just how I was peers with them. If I wanted to be peers with those people I looked up to, I needed to impact people at a higher level. So that's when I started to my coaching program. And it's honestly the most fulfilling thing that I do. Do I love my business? Do I pour into my business? Yes, it's my baby. And I got my sweater on for my company right here, right now. But it's an extension of, what I do and what I'm passionate about. And there's nothing more fulfilling to, see somebody who comes in, has no experience, and their life has completely changed. And they just say, and they continue every time I see them in person, continue to come. I just can't believe how my life changed. I'm so grateful for you. I can't believe what I'm able to do now. I can't believe I'm living this life. That's crazy. That I'm getting chills right now saying it. That's crazy to have impact like that. And that's what it's all about.
And it's cool too, man, because part of that is dealing with people who don't have a proven, I don't know if process is probably the right word, but they just don't have that belief in themselves yet. So not only are you helping them learn this tactical tool, and yes, you'll make some cash, but along the way, you're like, it's like a baby eagle, right? And you're just growing them up, and all of a sudden they have more confidence because of this. Now they have more confidence with their kids and they have more confidence in their interactions in public. And you get to see them kind of turn it into morph into like a better version of themselves. And knowing that you were just a domino or two in their process, it feels good. And I think about what you said about Stratton telling you have patience. For everybody who's quasi in this space, it takes patience to coach newbies. It
Yeah.
takes more patience to deal with JV deals. So the fact that you started on the JV side
Yeah.
and you didn't just throw it all in and like you had the patience to be able to underwrite deals that never should have been sent to you in the first place and then explain it to somebody while they tell you 15 different ways why you're wrong and you go back and forth and then roll that into, I think that's a
You know it.
testament to you.
You know it. Yep.
What's the number one thing? Like, no BS. Like, hey, I know when I'm talking to somebody who's really new, like, what's the number one thing that you're having to address? Let's first talk mindset wise when they
Yeah.
come to you, and then we'll move into tactical.
Okay. My mindset is the belief. You already said it, right? That's half the battle. If you believe in yourself, if you believe in yourself, your actions are going to follow, right? Because you have that confidence to do it. It's when you start doubting yourself and thinking like, do I really have it? Is this really for me? I mean, that is what 99% of the world does. They don't believe in themselves. They might have an idea, they might have a dream, but they don't step into it. They don't fight for it. And that all starts with the mindset. When you truly believe that you can do it, and that has been, Scott, really, I think one of my biggest skill sets is my just relentless belief in myself. Relentless belief in myself. Are there days where I feel down, I feel unmotivated? Yes, but not many. Not many, because every day I have so much excitement about the potential that I have. The potential
Yes,
that I have. Have I accomplished a lot, right? It's all relative, it's all
sure.
perspective. For most people, they would say yes. Am I proud of what I've accomplished? I feel, Scott, like I'm barely getting started,
Yep.
that I've accomplished nothing. Now, I say that to myself to inspire myself and motivate myself, but then I also say, you know what? I'm the shit. I
Yeah.
got this. I can do anything. I got this. Any obstacle, I can overcome it.
Yeah. I used to have like the good angel and the bad angel, right? You know, the stay in bed or, let's get out there and kick ass. But now the good angel is David Goggins. And so for years, I just hear that guy screaming at me all the time. And because it's like, you're successful, but we know that there's room for growth. And so when we have wins, as much as people in my life may say, hey, you should reflect more, you should enjoy, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, it's just that momentarily, like now the level's been set and we increase. And I'm 100% with you on the belief side. I think one of the biggest beliefs I try to teach newbies is they don't really appreciate the name of the game is value for equity. And so they don't have belief in their price. They're like, he'll never say yes to this. He'll never want to do this. And they don't present an offer with confidence and they don't understand well enough that, hey, this value that I am providing, whether it be certainty, whether it be a timeline, whether it be leaving the stuff back there or just handling the situation with care because their mom did just pass away, whatever it is, they don't have belief in their offer. And so they never make it past that stage. Sometimes they're too timid. They do she wanted 240. I just underwrite it. I'd have to be at 170. And they don't even believe in themselves or they're offer enough to pick up the phone and present the 170.
God, I love that so much. So, guys, the mindset is so powerful because it doesn't matter. What I love about this business, Scott, is it does not matter how old you are, what you look like. It also doesn't matter how much money you have, believe it or not, right? It depends. What matters is the value that you can bring. I love that you said that, the value that you can bring. And I have numerous examples outside of myself in my coaching program with students that are 19, 20 years old, that are crushing it, that are showing up at the door, knocking on the door as a 19-year-old, closing deals with confidence, giving that seller the overwhelming feeling of like a savior has come to them who is 19. You know, that comes from the mindset of them showing up, of they can do it, they can add value, and believing in that and doing it, right? It's so easy for someone in their position to say, I'm too young. I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough money. How am I going to be able to help them? If they had that mindset, they wouldn't get results, right? They may continue trying, but they wouldn't get the results.
One of the things I give a lot of credit to is not being smart enough to know that I couldn't, you
Yeah.
know? And one of the advantages, if you do like a good firework will sometimes shoot out of control and go over there all by itself where it's not supposed to go. If you are able to go on that path as an entrepreneur a little bit, it's kind of good because you don't have anybody saying, nah, that's not the right way in regards to like, oh, you'll never be able to do it. And so that's it just all goes back to that confidence and making sure you're allowing the right information in. I now want to move to tactical though, Dean. What are some of the biggest tactical areas you have to work with newbies on when they join the community?
Yeah. The biggest thing, the biggest differentiator between who has results and gets success and who's taking longer or who's kind of floundering a little bit and not quite getting the results that they hope. Without question, it is just down to their daily disciplines. It comes down to doing the work. The part that's frustrating for me when I see it because I want them to be so successful and I know that they're so capable is usually when they deviate from the plan, right? I call it the wholesaling playbook because of the fact that I'm used to working from a playbook. When I'm on the different teams that I've been along my career with football, you know, my ability to be successful was just by my ability to follow the play and to receive feedback, right? As we would study film, as we would be live in the game and making real-time adjustments. My ability to receive that feedback and then go apply it, right? I would follow the play. I would then get real life experience and see what that looked and felt like. I would have a feedback loop and a conversation about it, and then I would go reapply it and either get better or maybe not, and have to get back into it again and continue to work on getting better. When it comes to real estate, it's no different, right? When it comes down to doing deals, when we're talking about sales, going from leads to deals, what are the most important skills? How to find deals and how to negotiate deals. That's all you should be focusing on. If you aren't making offers, then you're not going to get deals. If you don't have leads, you're not going to be able to make offers. If you're not prospecting for leads, you're not going to have leads. So fundamentally just comes back to every single day before you have built a consistent running business and are hiring team members, before you've done that, when it's you, yourself, and I, you have to be focused on finding deals and negotiating deals. So what does that look like, Scott? Every single day, you're prospecting for leads. Every single day. And every lead that you have, you're making the offer. Is that not so simple? It is so simple. That's it. That's all you need to be focusing on. And then how do you improve the results that you're getting? How do you increase your chances with the opportunities you have? You're daily working on the fundamentals around your negotiation. You're working on the script. You're waking up and before you make any calls, you're reviewing the script and you're going through it. It's no different than every day in football. I'm working out. I have
Amen.
to work out. If I don't work out, my muscles, my body is not going to be prepared. Yeah, every single day I have to study the playbook. I have to review game film every day. Every day, we're not taking days off. If I miss a day, I'm not prepared for the game. So if you're wanting to show up to a call and get a deal, what are you doing to prepare for that? Are you prospecting for leads every day? Are you generating leads? Are you practicing your script every single day? If you're not, there's the missing pieces, guys. It's really that straightforward and simple.
Dean, I love everything you're saying. And I'm going to summarize all of this for me and what I'm saying and what I see for people who are newer. But we talked about the discipline, like the discipline to head in the office, the discipline to pick up the phone, whatever it may be. But I think a lot of times the missing tactic is the accountability after the discipline. And so what they don't do is they don't measure their effort. And they just say, hey, I hit the phones today. Hey, I made offers today. But if you don't measure it as a newbie, which is the most critical time to do it, because over a certain period of time, it becomes such a habit and a pattern that you're going to be hitting your mandatory minimums. But in the beginning, you're like, oh, dude, I had a great day today. It's like, oh, cool. How many calls? I'm not sure. I just had a great day today. No, you have to measure, guys and gals. If you're new to
Yeah.
this game, you have to measure. There's no more important time to measure than in the beginning, because until you start to track where you're at, you really can't quantify where the gap had. And you're like, damn, I had 3 deals last week, but last month, but none this month. And you can't figure out why. It's because after that third deal, you actually called 30% less. And then you called 20% less. Then you made 15% less offers. So I would encourage everybody, on top of what we're saying, not only to take the action, but count the actions themselves so you can hold yourself accountable.
Love that.
Cool, man. Let's talk about it. How do we find you? How do we get more of this? A guy who wasn't originally going to be, like so many people out here, they're like, now I'm working this corporate job. I'm a teacher. I'm a fireman. I'm a this, I'm that. I have all these other visions and plans, and then opportunity opened. And so for me, this is a big deal. This is a guy, and I say this with love, humbly. This is not he didn't train his whole life for this. He literally stumbled into this. He had no professional sales experience. He had no professional marketing experience. He just knew how to show up, review a play, and execute. But those fundamentals now have gotten him here. So how do people find Dean Rogers Real Estate?
Yeah. So Instagram is a great place to connect. That's my call to action to everybody, is connection, guys. Honestly, that's why I do podcasts. That's why I speak at events. That's why I host events. The cheat code is just to be around more people, right? Because this business, any business that you run yourself, can be very lonely and siloed if you're focused on your daily actions. But when you get around other people, there's so much opportunity for growth, for learning, for deals that will come as a result. So my call to action, guys, if you're watching this, you got value out of this, follow me on Instagram at Dean Rogers Real Estate. Send me a DM. Let me know you saw me on the podcast. Let's connect. It would be incredible. If you guys want to, see what I'm up to as well, you want to check out the coaching program in the community, you guys can go to deanrogers.com and check out all my stuff on there. I've got all my other socials, and also, my YouTube channel and things like that.
Yeah. So for a guy that's been professionally coached at the highest of levels, I can assure you, when you need somebody who talks to you in a firm but pushing and loving way, this is the guy for it. So if you're out there and you're looking to get into real estate, you're looking to complement what you're already doing, coaching, mentorship, definitely hit up Dean at Dean Rogers Real Estate. And most importantly, brother, thank you for coming on here, sharing a little bit more about your story, so that way I could enjoy it as well as the listeners, and talking both strategy and disciplines today, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. It was absolutely my pleasure.
Dude, you're the man. I appreciate it. Have a good one.